When we read about the strangest customs and traditions in the world, we may imagine that they are just old rituals forgotten by time or legends passed from generation to generation. But the truth is that there are entire communities that still live today in worlds that seem as if they came out of the pages of old books. Tribes untouched by globalization and unshaken by modernity, holding firmly to traditions that may seem shocking or even terrifying to some. But to them, they are the essence of life and the spirit of the tribe. From the finger-cutting rituals of the Dani tribes to the eating of the dead in Papua New Guinea, from drinking cow blood among the Maasai to healing dances of the Bushmen, these customs reveal to us different faces of humanity, faces where beliefs and superstitions blend, symbols and fears merge. And even death itself is celebrated in this video. We will not settle for a passing journey, but we will dive deep into these customs to understand their meaning, their history, and what they represent to their people. So stay with us until the end, and do not forget to support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel to receive all that is new. In the heart of the rugged highlands of New Guinea, specifically in the Balyam Valley in Papua, Indonesia, lies the Dani tribe, which still clings to its primitive rituals. Despite living near a world racing toward modernity, this tribe, hidden behind mountains and dense forests, is known for its deep cultural heritage, built on symbolism and spiritual fusion, with nature and traditions that embody pain in a physical form beyond imagination. One of the most shocking practices of the Dani tribe is their unique way of expressing grief and loss. The women do not only cry or lament as is common, but they choose to show their sorrow through a painful and symbolic ritual of cutting off part of their fingers. When a close family member dies, a woman cuts off a joint of her finger using primitive tools, often stone blades or sharp pieces of wood. This act is done in collective rituals where women gather to witness the process in a mixture of pain, patience, and submission to tribal heritage. Although this ritual may seem brutal in modern eyes, it carries deep meaning for the tribe, as it is a tangible way to embody grief, a form of spiritual sacrifice and proof of deep love and bond with the deceased. It is not done randomly, but follows strict rules determining who has the right to perform it. Depending on the relation to the deceased, men of the Dani tribe are no less committed to funerary rituals, but they express grief differently. They cover their bodies with thick gray mud, symbolizing transformation from life to mourning, as if reshaping themselves from the earth they also place wild pig skulls on their heads in a visual scene of awe, believed to drive away evil spirits and protect the living from overwhelming sorrow in Dani culture. The pig is not just food, but a creature of religious and social symbolism used in major rituals like weddings and funerals. So wearing pig skulls during mourning is considered a high form of respect for the deceased and an attempt to call for divine protection in the afterlife. Deep in the southeastern highlands of Papua New Guinea, where nature remains wild and history weaves itself far from modern civilization, lives the Four People, a relatively small tribe. Yet their practices place them at the center of anthropological and medical studies. They held a firm belief that death was not the end of life, but a transfer of energy and spirit to the living. For this reason, they adopted a strange ritual known as ritual cannibalism. It was not driven by hunger or violence, but by deep spiritual beliefs. They believed that eating the flesh and organs of the dead, especially the brain, allowed them to absorb wisdom, strength, and spirit, keeping the deceased forever present among them. The practice was not random, but highly organized. Usually women and children ate the inner parts, as they were believed to need spiritual protection the most, while men observed or ate symbolic portions. However, this sacred practice hid behind it a medical disaster. In the 1950s, researchers noticed the spread of a strange disease among the poor, especially women. Symptoms began with tremors, then loss of muscle control, followed by paralysis and death. Within a short period, locals called it kuru, meaning shaking. Modern medicine classified it as a rare infectious prion disease, similar to mad cow disease caused by eating brain tissue containing misfolded proteins called prions. These deadly proteins resist antibiotics or treatment and silently destroy the nervous system. Once the link between cannibalism and kuru was discovered, local authorities and medical missions worked together to raise awareness among the tribe. Gradually, the practice disappeared, and cases declined until almost vanishing by the end of the 20th century. Across the vast plains of Kenya and Tanzania, where wild nature meets human pride, live the Maasai tribes, among the most famous and fascinating African communities. They are not only visually iconic with their red garments and decorated spears, but also carry traditions deeply rooted in a connection between human and land, between body and spirit. One of their most striking rituals is drinking fresh cow blood, not randomly, but as a central part of life. Rituals like weddings or initiation from childhood to manhood. The vein is opened gently without killing the animal. The blood collected in a traditional container, then mixed with milk and drunk as a natural dose of strength, and a sacred link between the person, the community, and their cattle, which symbolize status and wealth. Childhood among the Maasai is not measured by age alone, but by ritual transitions. When a boy reaches manhood, he undergoes the famous Adumu dance. Young men stand in straight lines and jump high without moving their feet from the ground. The jumping is not just a show of skill, but a test of strength, flexibility, and endurance. The higher a young man jumps, the greater his status among peers, and his chances to attract attention and maybe a future wife. The dance is performed before girls and elders, accompanied by group chants, sung in deep, synchronized voices. In the depths of the rainforest stretching between Venezuela and Brazil, live the Yanomami tribes, among the most isolated human communities from the modern world. These tribes still hold on to their spiritual and ritual customs that go back centuries. Despite attempts of openness and contact with the outside world, they preserved a primitive lifestyle based on hunting, basic farming, and living in circular communities known as shabono. What is truly striking in their culture is a unique funeral ritual, unlike any other around the world, known as eating the ashes of the dead. When a member of the tribe dies, the body is not buried or left to natural decay, as most peoples do. Instead, it undergoes a complex ritual process, starting with burning the corpse until it becomes fine ash. Then, the ash is mixed with the remaining bone powder and combined into a plant soup to be consumed by the close family of the deceased in a communal ritual filled with reverence and sorrow. This practice is not just a strange custom, but carries a deep spiritual meaning for the Yanomami. They believe the soul of the human does not rest in the afterlife unless it is physically integrated into the bodies of loved ones. They see that the remains of the body must return to the community the deceased belonged to through ritual consumption, allowing the soul to continue living through those who remain. It is also viewed as a way to protect the souls from evil or wandering, since the Yanomami believe that a soul that is neglected or abandoned may turn into angry energy that harms the living. Thus, consuming the ashes becomes a social and religious duty performed with reverence and sanctity, not merely a ritual, but an act of final love and loyalty. What is remarkable in this tradition is that children and women participate equally, reflecting the integration of funerary rituals into the social structure of every member of the tribe. The ritual is not performed hastily, but preceded by a period of collective mourning that lasts weeks, during which shouting or laughter is forbidden. Stories about the deceased are told in low voice, while bodies are covered in black ash, as a symbolic sharing of grief. In the far south of the Pacific Ocean, where breathtaking nature blends with deep roots of history, live the Maori, the indigenous people of New Zealand, who over the ages formed a unique culture full of vitality and mystery, combining ancient spirituality with bodily symbolism in a way unlike any other civilization. The Maori are known for their strong attachment to their rituals and cultural heritage, and the most famous embodiment of that is the haka ritual. The haka is not merely a dance. It is a declaration of existence, a collective cry pulsing with power and belonging, performed by men and women with loud rhythm, including fierce body movements, repeated strikes on thighs and chest, with eyes wide open and tongue sticking out in a deliberate manner that strikes fear in whoever watches. This dance is used in various contexts. It was originally a war ritual, performed before battles to frighten enemies and show challenge. But today, it has become a national symbol, performed in official ceremonies, grand receptions, and even before rugby matches as a way to display pride and identity. What also distinguishes the Maori on the level of the body is the tattoo tradition known as ta moko. This tattoo is not merely decoration, but a visual record of the identity of a person, usually engraved on the face and sometimes on the body using precise traditional tools. Each marked spiral and shape in this tattoo carries a meaning indicating the ancestry, social status achievements, and even the original tribe of the individual. Since the face is considered by the Maori the most sacred part of the body, its tattoo is seen as a great honor executed according to precise rituals, accompanied by spiritual recitations and prayers to the ancestors. In the depths of the Kalahari Desert, stretching between South Africa, Botswana, and Namibia, live the Bushmen, or the San, one of the oldest human groups that still preserve a way of life close to the earliest ages of humanity. They not only live on the margins of modernity, but chose to exist outside of time, in a world of hunting, mobility, and harmony with nature. What distinguishes the Bushmen is not only their simple lifestyle, but also their language, which is among the most amazing human languages. It relies on click sounds produced with the palate and tongue in a way unmatched by any other language. These clicks are not mere ornaments, but full letters, expressing precise meanings, requiring great skill to pronounce and understand, making their language one of the most difficult to translate and study, but at the same time, a mirror of their cultural and spiritual uniqueness. What is even more remarkable in their traditions is their ritual known as the healing dances. When a member of the group falls ill or is suspected of negative energy, a deep nightly ritual begins where men and women gather around a circle of burning fire and start dancing and singing with escalating repeated movements, accompanied by rapid breathing and intense body swaying. The dancers stop only after reaching a state similar to complete unconsciousness, a condition viewed as spiritual contact with the other world, where healing powers are released and transferred from the dancer to the patient. The Bushmen believe that these powers are not learned, but inherited spiritually from generation to generation, and become active only when the dancer reaches the peak of his mental state, often accompanied by body tremors or uncontrolled crying and screaming. These moments are not just expressions of faith, but embody a deep belief that healing is not achieved by medicine, but through restoring balance between body, soul, and nature. These healing rituals are performed only on nights when the tribe feels the energy has been disturbed, turning the sand into a stage, the fire into a witness, and the body into a tool of inner elevation. In the depths of New Guinea, where jungles intertwine with misty swamps, live the Papuan tribes in near-total isolation from the modern age. Their lives appear primitive, as if outside of time. They rely on nature for everything, making clothes by hand from tree leaves and colorful bird feathers, not just to cover the body, but as cultural symbols carrying ritual and social meanings. Depending on the occasion, bones serve as their multipurpose tools, used as weapons for hunting and defense, or transformed into ornaments hung on the neck or hair, expressing courage and belonging. What distinguishes the Papuans most is their deep belief in spiritual forces that control everything around them: rain, illness, death, and destiny. All these beliefs are embodied in the rituals of the spirit festivals, where men and women paint mysterious symbols on their faces and limbs, using a mixture of clay, charcoal, and blood to communicate with unseen worlds. A collective dance begins to the rhythm of primitive drums lasting until dawn, considered a sacred ritual to appease angry spirits and restore balance between humans and nature. It is said that some participants enter a state of near trance believed to allow spirits to dwell within their bodies, seen as a profound spiritual experience, not a sign of madness or detachment from reality. In the end, these customs may seem strange, even controversial, but they are an essential part of the identity of peoples. The strangeness here is not madness, but an expression of different visions of life, death, and existence itself. Even the most controversial beliefs may carry deep symbolism in the eyes of those who hold them. And everywhere, man remains a being who masters the art of expressing himself, whether in the heart of the city or in the depths of the jungle. And here we reach the end of today's video, so do not miss the chance to follow all that is new by subscribing to the channel and activating the bell to receive everything new.